welfare regulations have now decided that you and I are simply assets of the state. We see this on the farm every day. You know, it used to be our cows and our chickens and the farmer's cows and the farmer's tomatoes. Now, the farmer's plants are part of the national crop. My cows are part of the national herd. My chickens are part of the national flock. And so when we used to go to the veterinarian for advice, we now don't use the veterinarian because the veterinarian has to fill out paperwork that the government bureaucrats use to determine whether I am towing the line to the accepted pharmaceutical protocol of the national herd. If I want to use herbs or I want to use homeopathy, that's animal abuse. And I have just performed risky behavior and jeopardized our national herd, our food security, and our export program, and the whole culture is going to go down in a handbag because we didn't vaccinate a chicken. I'm called a bioterrorist because our chickens go out and rub beaks with indigo buntings and red-winged blackbirds and take their diseases to the science-based orthodox Tyson chicken houses that are appropriately vaccinated and pharmaceutically swathed. And it all comes down to who owns the individual and what do you do with the lunatic fringe. You see, what defines a free society or a tyranny is what do you do with the nonconformists? Maybe I don't want to vaccinate my chickens. Maybe what I'd like to do is have a Darwinian genetic base, see who lives and dies, and make the survivors together without any pharmaceuticals, and maybe we'll have a better genetic base in the future. But if my chickens are just part of the national flock, they can't allow that kind of mobility and risk and genetic selection. Why? They might get a disease that will affect the national flock or the national herd. And so this all comes down to personal autonomy. Who owns me? Who owns my property? Who owns my land? That is the cornerstone through which this penetration happens. And the tragedy of it is that as this regulatory penetration happens, it denies the entire culture the innovation, the new ideas, and even the solutions to the problems that we face. And so it enslaves our problem solutions into the paradigms of the existing status quo. And that is an enslavement that our children will not allow us to, they will hate us. They will hate us for denying them the chance to develop and innovate and bring the best. Why is it that the computer and electronic technology is so innovative? It's because it's ahead of government regulations. The reason eBay happens and Craigslist and all this stuff is going on is because the government hasn't been able to move as fast as the electronic, the internet and that innovation. And so that leads us. We could be in the same world leadership position in food, in raw milk, in hygiene, in nutrient-dense food, in no health issues. We could lead the world in all of those things just as well if our ingenuity were not enslaved by this outdated, barbaric, Neanderthal industrial mentality. So, I hope that as we articulate to our friends and neighbors, what kind of world would we like to see? We'll start using words like an emancipated innovation process. We'd like to see an integrated food system, not a segregated one. We would like to see unshackled innovation. We would like to see integrated economies, not segregated economies. We would like to see wealth come from the bottom up, not centered in the top down and metered gently through filters. You know, we would like to see the freedom of people to be able to pursue their dreams unfettered and bring to our culture and society the answers for tomorrow's problems and tomorrow's world that our children will inherit. I hope we're up to the task. I think we are, and I trust that we will have the fortitude and the joy and the enthusiasm and even the articulation ability to go with a positive message to people. We're not a message of no police state, no regulation, no. What we are is a message of yes, of releasing innovation, of releasing opportunity, of solving food deserts, of solving GMO. We are the answer, and it's always yes, yes, yes. It's not I'm against them. And I would encourage us to really work on developing that message of yes and opportunity rather than the message of no, I don't like that. There's a lot of stuff we don't like, but let's turn it around on them, make them the bad guys for wanting a segregated, enslaved, stodgy, uninnovating, are you with me? Insecure, and let's let them defend their system in light of a free, liberty-oriented, innovation, individually owned, transparent, land-healing ethic. And as we do that, we will change this world. Thank you so much for letting me visit with you. God bless you all. Thank you so much.
Wait a minute. You got 10 more minutes. We're paying good money. Get back up here. No, I'm joking. Sit on down. Okay, our next speaker is Bruce Marshall. Bruce Marshall was the Green Party candidate back in 2006 for Congress. We came to know Bruce through the food sovereignty movement. He was instrumental in coming up with the legislation to protect the right of Vermonters to save seed and to control the type of food that they consume. Bruce has also worked as part of the organizer for the Philadelphia Emergency Anti-War Convention of 2007. He's also supported the effort to not only have Bush and Cheney impeached for their war crimes, but has extended it also to the sitting president, President Obama. He's an author, he's an activist, and he's here today to talk to you. Ladies and gentlemen, Bruce Marshall.
Thank you, Stephen. And it's really wonderful to be outside in nature here in Vermont to secure our blessings. And that's the first thing I want to just acknowledge. Our blessings here in the natural world, amongst one another, amongst friends, in a friendly situation. My speech here today, my talk, my dialogue, it's been with meeting people I haven't met today, and to have a sense of where they're coming from, because that's something that we're having a bit of a Congress here. We don't have a Congress in Washington. As Joe mentioned, it's been taken over, and that's the primary issue of what got me involved seriously in politics here. Is I felt compelled as a citizen, reacting to the coup of 9/11, and to seek to take care of the situation as I felt I should as a citizen. And so one of the things I was asked, who are you, what do you believe in? Well, I believe I'm an evolving paradox in some ways. Some of my ideas are very much, I wrote the food sovereignty initiative that we put together, and I thank Jessica Bernier not only for the input and that collaboration, but for doing this today and recognizing me to come here and speak. And she asked me to speak about impeachment because we had a very important movement here in Vermont for the impeachment of Bush and Cheney. And this was something that was very unique. It was quintessentially New England. We worked through the town meetings and we passed various resolutions. And it was something that really came from the grassroots. It came from individuals, certainly Dan DeWalt, we must recognize as a leader in that direction. But the leadership came from various people. And the issue here is that we provide a platform. I'm on a platform, and hopefully that platform speaks to something that goes beyond the realm of politics, but to that of principle. You see, because when we came forth on the impeachment of Bush, of course, Vermont, a liberal state, beat up Bush and Cheney. This is, of course, normal things. But no, something else was recognized. It was recognized about our constitutional liberties and our Bill of Rights and these violations. And people recognized that there was something that spoke beyond just the politics, but to the principle of the situation. For we realized that if we did not impeach here and speak to those violations of fundamental truths of who we are, if we allowed the monster that Joe has well recognized to continue to stomp on us, if we didn't say no to that, then we have lost the future as we've lost the present, as we have lost the promise of the past towards what we can do to recognize the truth within us, okay? So here we're securing these blessings for our children and for our community, and we are securing life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Happiness being our self-development. So true self-development is the fact that each of us is a leader in things. We are someone who can witness to what is right and wrong, what is true. And we can expose that the emperor has no clothes. So the issue on the principle here of impeachment in Vermont was the fact that, well, they said, but wait until we elect a Democrat. It'll be okay. Well, we've got our Democrat, and it's not okay because war, torture, murder, and more murder is not okay. So what we came out, and some people said, well, you didn't win with the impeachment movement. Well, actually, we did. Well, we did in one, we historically, we got it through the state Senate. And I just challenged Gay Symington in a food co-op the other day. She was the Speaker of the House. And I said, Gay, we were on a moment of principle. It was above politics. Well, we got our, he said, wait for the Democrat to become president. Well, we got our Democrat, and it's wrong. So now you have a chance to redeem yourself. You have to redeem yourself and recognize that we were right. Okay, we were right. So that's the point. And the point is that we have to take that point of view. And that's the importance of initiatives, I believe, like the food sovereignty, where we say this is it. We demonstrate certain truths, and then we stand with that. And that's our unity. It's our unity that then looks and expresses the freedoms that we want to have for all of us. You see, when we have children, each children is a unique individual, right? We don't, they're sort of like their dad, sort of like their mom, and sort of like out in space, right? But we clip their wings, or we cut their hair, or we do whatever it is to make them conform to whatever cultural norms. And certainly that's the point of homeschooling, that freedom to learn. I got very upset recently at Senator Leahy. Senator Leahy was on the news, and the question was over Edward Snowden. And he kept on saying, well, that Edward Snowden, a college dropout. He mentioned that many times. So, well, frankly, the college dropout is doing the job that you should be doing and you're under oath to do, okay? So college dropouts unite or whatever it is, but frankly, we're not under several $100,000 of debt maybe too. And, so the point is that when you denigrate a person in such a way, you create a division and you create intimidation. And we don't want intimidation. We want peace. We want love, and we want things to grow. And that's why a farm is a beautiful thing. You know, a farm recognizes that. But industrial farming doesn't recognize that. They don't recognize that which requires growth and something that will nurture us. So our children, we want them to run free. We want them to understand that, and we want to bring forth the natural, inquisitive, moral understanding that they will understand the not a set of rules, but a set of what's contextually right and wrong from something within their heart. And when they're with their heart, they can express their love, and they can express what's needed within the right situation. So this I see as an important thing within our unity, that we do that. I would suggest that we put together something along the line of a declaration for health freedom that Benjamin Rush wanted in the Constitution, so that we can say, you know, definitively, from a point of principle, on protecting ourselves from a vaccination, which is essentially a gross violation, like a bullet. Take a bullet to the arm. That's what they're asking you to do. That's what they're asking you to do to your child. You know, take out the 45 and put it and see if it you know, they might survive. You know, whatever. Lead is benign, right? So just as mercury and thimerosal is a benign substance, don't we know? So we want to create a culture. Okay, a culture is something that we create the conditions to do so. One of the things of the food movement now is the understanding of fermentation, right? We create a culture. We create something that actually is a beneficial change, right? So we want to create a culture here that actually is for life, and for such higher values that we know were here, and as we know existed here in this government before certain fascist or communist or whatever we would like to say, tyrannies, oligarchical tyrannies, decided this is what is going to be. Because the problem is we have a problem of flat earthism, that the earth is flat, and this is what we tell you is. And so when you're under that type of thing, the oligarchy decides what's right. Fats are bad for you, or this is bad for you, right? Anything along this line, as opposed to maybe your body telling you what might be right or wrong, okay? What might be the thing. So I had I was out with some people, and I think this is a relevant story. I was spending the night in the National Forest with some people. It's not a national forest, it's the forest. Okay, so we were out and we were celebrating the solstice with a wonderful full moon that was peeking through the clouds, rains, but a fire that lasted the evening. And for myself, it was a joy to not speak of politics or any of that, but just to enjoy and to have a woman come by with a glass of mead and that she had made 2 years before, and have a sip of this golden nectar. And it was in the morning time, it came around, and someone asked, something came up, and this guy who was into history started asking me questions, and you know, I can talk, so I'm talking, and so you know, we're talking about history and this, and I'm going into about the, you know, the British system and the fact that we've always been at war with the British. We just have to realize that and finally declare this and realize our freedoms and a number of things, you know, questions. And then he's talking about the police state and everything else. And I finally said, well, you know, they basically can't take away your love. And suddenly, a guy who was around the corner, you know, came and just, we hugged. And it was that realization that, yeah, fuck, that's it. None of this crap of all the rest. There's something fundamental. And that was the a beautiful thing. But we are confronted with a maya of information, of ideas, of ideologies, of various things. And what I really like about what we've brought together here is the fact that we have a chance now to intermingle and to perhaps do some of the things that Joe was mentioning in terms of letting some ideas intermingle and maybe grow and create new cultures and create new things and something that can't be defined. Because I think that's the issue here. We've been defined. We've been defined by what I call a false left-right dialectic. Okay? And I know a lot of people are aware of that we've been defined. Oh, you're this, you're a liberal, or you're that, or whatever it is. And then suddenly the whole issue is in this particular box. So how do we get out of the box? How do we get out of dealing with that? Some of my work has been in the realm of trying to create a platform amongst people such that we can challenge the politicians, that we can challenge things and we can break out of that, and that we can define what the debate is. Because we want people discussing and trying to work things out and figuring this out. But we don't want it to be told on us that this is the only solution. You know, we don't want these things to rule us. So we have to realize that this blessing, the securing of the blessings here under this mountain and the earth is what's key. There's a sense of beauty. There's a sense that when we wake up and we can go out and walk in the morning dew and be in that, and hopefully it's not a poison dew, but that we can be in that and in that awe of what is real, and that's a renewal. And it's a renewal of our spirits. And I offer that as what I can offer. And my thanks that I could come up and say some things and hopefully inspire some movements just to realize that, no, we did not lose on the impeachment movement. We actually won because we were in the right situation. Okay? We have to look at it in a different way because this battle has been going on for centuries, okay? But the way that we can get out of it, we have that ability to now realize things because people have realized things. I know many people here who are living a good life. They're realizing certain points and they're sharing that with others so they know that can happen. And that's what we know is the reality. So as I remember Timothy Leary saying once, he said, you know, we just have to tell these guys that, you know, it's not the end of the world. It's not going crazy. You're just on a bad acid trip. It's all going to be fine, okay? So our reality has to be defined by our realizing something from a point of support, of peace, and realization. So our opposition, I believe, and this is what I would like to end with, because I had the honor recently to speak, to be at a meeting at Riverside Church. It was the church where Martin Luther gave his great speech to the mountain. And the woman that we had there honored is Amelia Boynton Robinson. And Amelia Boynton Robinson is recognized as the grande dame of the civil rights movement. She's over 100 years old, and she was in Selma. She was the one that was bashed on the bridge, the Edmund Pettus Bridge, and thrown there. And they were marching for voting rights. Okay, and she had been helping to register people to vote since she was a young child. And they killed her husband. It's tough. It's a tough situation. But there was a prevailing. And if we understand the aspect of that prevailing, is that there's a spiritual understanding of the movement, of that transcends. And Amelia is a person that I heard speak who was that person that got me moving to take that next action, to realize that I had some sort of greater duty to put forward. And the issue here of the civil rights movement is the issue of nonviolent resistance, a nonviolent resistance movement. And this is where they killed King, because King was bringing forward the civil rights movement, the anti-war movement, and the movement of labor. And I consider the issue of the labor movement really is at the basis is the farmer. And I have here an apple. I brought an apple that I found on the roadside. We have this bounty of these old farms in Vermont and these heirloom apples. So there's free food. It is still the garden. Okay, the garden is here, and people can get a bounty from picking the apples and that. And I see that this is the seed and the key. This is the basis of our exchange. And in the 40s, we did, I believe, I'm sure I would have a discussion with various people on this, but there was a movement to finally say, you know, the farmer should be paid a parity price. We should actually put a parity price level so that the speculators don't determine it, but the determination is really more on understanding what it takes to put that thing together. And they found that really did provide the return of something that then benefited more and more people. So with that trust, that thing, I very much appreciate being on this stage and hearing people, and I thank you from the bottom of my heart.
Up is a speaker that I first heard a couple of years ago. He did a really wonderful presentation. It appeared to be totally off the cuff. He was incredible, really engaging. I really enjoyed him a lot. So again, when we had an opportunity to line up speakers and his name came up, I jumped all over it. That was my superstar, if you will. In the Vermonter for Liberty group, we have a saying, just one more. Do just one more thing to spread the words of liberty. Do one more act that will help influence your community and the people around you. Just one more person, bringing them into the movement, because that's the only way you grow. Now, Michael's history, Michael Bolden is the gentleman I'm talking about, is that he basically went out and started the 10th Amendment Center. And now it's recognized as an authoritative voice in the liberty movement on issues involving the 10th Amendment. It has an incredible podcast, which I really enjoy listening to. And all I can say is, ladies and gentlemen, Michael Bolden. Look at him run. Come on.